The site analysis is important because you secure a site and you need to know everything about that site before you start designing. And so the site analysis is really graphics that help you to analyze things like the views and the sun angles and the noise, the winter winds and the summer breezes, and so many other things that we're going to be taking a look at, like vehicular access, where do people walk, where are the utilities, all of those things that you would need to explore. Every site has a site setbacks from the property line. So this phantom line, the line with the two dashes there, becomes the property line, and there's a front setback, two side setbacks, and a rear setback. And that will give you kind of that buildable area. There's also a percentage of area within that buildable area so that someone can't build right out to the setbacks. If you look at the graphics here, we see a lot of arrows and notes. Sometimes we have a key that says what this kind of graphic is. So it becomes more of a sketch, but depends on who's putting it together. Just wanted to show you different variations of a site analysis here. Notes that explain what's going on in the site, and sometimes a scale is usually an inch equals 20 feet that goes along with the site plan, and a north arrow for sure on these type of plans. These lines down here we're going to be talking about a little bit later, but you can see these kind of curved lines that have numbers on them. That's the elevation of the ground. So you can tell here that the ground is sloping up or towards the building, or sloping, down, because 98 is the high point here at the building, and then it's sloping down towards an elevation of 87. Each one of these lines, these contour lines, represents a different level of ground. Here's another way of establishing a site analysis. I've used this several times in class and in different offices that I've worked with, where you take an aerial photo and kind of gray it out and then add your graphics to it. So you want to really take a look at where the summer and the winter sun is and what the angle is. You want to be aware of all that sun that's coming in on the south side, any noise from the road, and kind of directions that are happening on the site. And you can see the graphics are dynamic in some of these. Here's another example of the graphics that come with some of the visual representation of different views that are good views, bad views, high points and low points on the site. Sometimes they look a little bit more professional here if you're presenting the work in 3D or in aerial view. This one has a lot more to it because it's a bigger project, and so there are several plans for each one of the elements: traffic flow, existing green space, nighttime activity. I've used site analysis like this before, where you take pictures of the site and then kind of represent those photos on the different plan views to better understand the site, which strengthens your design. Another example of the graphics that you could use. And then this is a project that I've had students work on in the past, where this site is proposed and all of these different requirements are a part of understanding what the buildable area is. So the setbacks you can see here are done graphically. There's an easement. An easement is not just for utilities, but it can also be access to a park. Like in this case, a person needs to be able to go onto this lot in order to get to the park, and that would be the easement here of 30 feet. There are various other codes and things that we need to know about, like the distance from a trunk of a tree for this project is 25 feet. We have these contour lines. You can see that the numbers go up from this bottom right corner to a high point. So it starts at 98 and goes up to 101. We have winter winds coming in from the northwest and the summer breeze, which makes a big choice. It helps to know where these things are because we might want to put some evergreens to block the winter winds or use deciduous trees that have less leaves in the front here to pull in the summer winds, and other things that help us understand the site itself. Any existing structures that are neighbors that might be casting shadows or blocking views. There is a lot of concern when you have lakefront property and someone building something that could block your view. There's special codes for that kind of construction. So before you design, it's a good idea to collect all the data and understand the site